Yeah, I can't do a whole.
Come to order. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All are present. Now that is right. 4 of us are present. And at this time, I wanted to make an announcement that Kathy Whitefield has resigned as a councilor. And I don't know, did she give a reason to you?
Nothing was stated in the email that went to the whole council.
And
That was Friday. Was that when we received it?
And while he's checking on that, we will decide on who we are going to replace her with at the next meeting.
Do you want the same process where they submit applications using our committee application?
Right. And while we're having a pause, I want to remind everybody that when you want to speak, you stand, be recognized, and talk to the chair. Or the person in the chair.
Do we go to the podium?
Pardon?
Do we go to the podium also?
Yep. And order speaking finishes, and then if there's questions from the audience, they stand and announce their name and so forth before they start talking. You don't question the person that's talking. We had that happen, I think, at the last meeting, and that's not the way it's supposed to be done. And, okay. We need a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I make that motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I second
Well,
it.
actually there's 2, the 6th and the 15th.
For both the 6th and the 15th of January 2020.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. I entertain a motion for the reports of the departments.
I make a motion to approve the department reports as submitted.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Public, let's see, we got public hearing.
We have the 4 public hearings tonight. There will be 2 for liquor license renewals and 2 for special amusement permits. So we can jump into the public hearings in order. If anybody has any questions or comments on the specific business looking to have their licenses reapproved. If there aren't, we can just declare the public hearings closed and move on to the next one.
Is there anyone that wants to speak on Millhouse liquor license? Yeah, that's 5.1. 5.2, Millhouse public pub special entertainment, special amusement. Yes.
Peter Ford, 6 Park Street. What do they mean by special amusement? Just the bands? Is that what they're asking about?
If I may, we have, the town has an ordinance for special amusement licenses, so anybody who has live music or any other entertainment, public displays of movies, they have an annual license they get from the town.
Okay, thank you.
And all of these are just to let them know, right, that they're up for renewal.
Yep, they're up for renewal, and it really allows the opportunity for, if any abutters have concerns about noise complaints or anything like that, that the community has the ability every year for a liquor license, on premise or off. or-
They've been pretty good. There's been one or two instances, but I don't know how many times the police have been there, but
At the, Millhouse Pub. Oh, yes, that's down here in your
Yeah.
neighborhood, isn't it?
yeah,
Okay.
I'm not here to fight them, so they're doing all right.
Yes.
Peter, you don't have any trouble with the cigarette smoking outside and all that, remember that? several years
Yeah,
ago?
it's, some nights are worse than others, especially when they get the big name bands, but other than that, it just echoes across, especially in the summer. That's the worst. You don't hear them as much in the winter, but.
And Chief, you have no problem with that?
No problem, beyond anything that you would get from any.
And they have to go, the renewal process is that the police and the fire department go and inspect and all of those.
For the liquor, it runs through the state, and then the
Okay.
chief signs off that there's not any concerns from his point of view, and then we bring it to the council. There's not traditionally re-inspections.
There's no inspection on our behalf.
What about like fire codes and stuff like that?
That would be code enforcement and planning board when they get approved to move in, but we don't have any.
Just in the beginning?
Yep.
5.3, Silver Spur. Amusement renewal. Anybody have any? Now, we can take and vote on all of these at once. right?
If you wanna move them up from the bottom, because they're listed under resolves for the motions for the formal approvals
Okay.
down below. We can do that when we get down there.
Except no liquor license. Anyone have any comments? Good. Now, we'll take, public comments, and you're gonna be timed 5 minutes, is all you're gonna have,
Where's your timer?
right here. So, it's open to the public, or anybody have any comments? Stand up, please.
Do I have to go down there? Okay, I'll be
All of the rules are right over here, just so everyone
Yeah, I
knows.
heard it. I would like to know why the man that was gonna come and look over Fred's dilemma in there has not been called yet. What, he's gonna come for free and everything, why haven't we done that? Does anybody answer?
Didn't I see something in here?
It's on the
It's on
agenda.
the agenda.
It's on the agenda, yeah, okay. Oh, yes, that's 7.3.
I know, I just wanna know why hasn't it? I was here in November and it was gonna get done. I didn't come in
Yeah,
December, so
well-
I couldn't ask, now I'm here, I'm asking.
Yep, and, there, we have some information that he has sent to us, and we'll bring that up, and on 7.3, if that's all right with you.
And I just asked, has he been contacted personally to come out and take care of our problem?
That, I can't tell you, I don't know.
Okay, well, somebody should have the answer.
Yep. Do you have anything?
I have been advised not to be involved.
Didn't I see something in here about,
That's what I showed you.
I believe the past chair was in direct contact with that person.
yeah, yeah, well, that's,
That's who it is.
yeah,
Keith, I believe Julie has some information.
I have some phone numbers, which I just got tonight, and I don't have anything to add to it, and I just got this tonight, and it's, I haven't even looked at it to see if there's,
Keith, before Kathy left, I forwarded all of the complaints to the person that was looking at it via email, and he said that he was going to be looking at it and getting back to her. And as
Yeah,
far as I
yeah.
know, before she left, I don't think she had gotten a response.
okay, I'm gonna, be calling him, and I'll be calling you.
Hey. Nothing's in the book.
You want to see?
No, just scratch my head.
Anyone else? Yes.
Can we get over there?
Oh, you can stand there. You can stand there. I'll go over there.
I just want, Kathy Feigl, she resigned on Friday,
Thursday,
by email,
yes,
and she addressed it to you,
just to the council.
to the council, and gave no reasons, yes, so
That's
effective
good.
immediately, personal reasons. Okay. Thank you.
Bill Walker, good side guy. Are you gonna do it individually, like 7.1 is 22 Pleasant update? You're gonna read the update for us and then move on to the next, I assume?
Yes, we'll be going right through all of them.
Very good.
Norma Crabtree, 23 Highland Avenue. Question: why doesn't everyone that has something to say stand up, give their name, their address, and come over here to speak?
Oh, we can do that.
Because I'm too lazy.
I know, I'm picking on you. Yes.
Anyone else?
One has to, we all have to.
Okay. 7.1.
I have confirmed after the last council meeting, the price has been reduced on 22 Pleasant Street. Realtor confirmed the new listing. We have not gotten any information that he has reported back to me in the past week. I will follow up and we will keep this as a regular monthly update.
Now, council discussion topics.
I have one. Personnel policy.
Yep.
If it snows and you decide for the people's safety that they shouldn't come to work, the town manager has decided that because of the snowstorm, you don't want the people to come to work. That's a great thing. In our policy, it says that they have to use a vacation day. I don't think that is the right thing. I called Poland, Norway, South Paris, Oxford, and whenever the town manager decides that because of a snowstorm, the people are not penalized in any way, and they're still paid. Can we get that changed? What do we have to do?
Yes, we need to change our personnel policy because there was a procedure prior where it didn't sync with the policy we have on paper. So when we realized the policy that we're looking at, I don't want to especially penalize staff and tell them that they have to take a vacation day. So it is really, currently by policy that if they can come in and we can staff the window, we are open.
Sure.
It only affects a handful of us, but again, I don't want to be in a place dictating that someone else has to take vacation time and use their vacation time because I decide the office closed. I would like to change it, and then we'll draft those changes to make it a little bit more equitable to staff. But unfortunately, I think for the staff, this year we've been following the policy until we can change the policy. So I can draft that and have that put together. We'll run kind of the same process on making an update and amendment to the personnel policy, but you're right, it's not a policy that I enjoy.
In the past, the boiler or the furnace has gone down. And when the people showed up to work, the town manager sent them home because the building was so cold. Are they also penalized then?
We are not having trouble with it.
But if that would have happened, and they came in here and the building was 40 degrees and you thought, okay, it's not healthy or safe for anybody to be here, you'd send them home, but would they have to use a vacation time then also? I'm trying to make a comparison.
Well, I kind of get it. It's the same thing. If the roads are treacherous for some of us to actually drive to the office, yeah, I don't want to ask them to drive in because they don't want to use the time
Sure.
either. I just need to be able to update the policy because before the policy was similar to other towns, the manager would call it off and it was a paid snow day as an employment day, and that's what was happening. But the policy was never updated to reflect that was the precedent. So we're operating under precedent. When I started, we just need to get the policy to represent what it is we want. And if the council's good with that, I can make those changes because I agree with those changes.
Would that take effect for the previous snow day you've had for closing for the ones involved?
Could you make it retroactive? You said you're talking about one time, right?
We could vote on that, could we not?
You could, I mean, it would give me the ability to do it, I'm not, and I have no problem doing it, if the council supports it, I would
Well,
have to double check if the period has already been processed, I don't know if we can do anything to it.
If I may. Because if it's a personnel policy change, you have to do it. You have to bring it before the council, so that would be next month, so that would be March. And then nothing would happen until April, and then it would be almost a moot point at that point, that there would be no more snow days.
That's what we want to.
So if we did it, if we were able to do that, we would do it the correct way, and in some sort of way saying it would be retroactive for this year if there were more days.
But we'd definitely have to check, I believe, with Lisa on that one, because those pay periods are already closed, I don't believe we can.
Well,
pay.
right, we wouldn't be able to pay them back,
Right.
but it would be like a retro pay, if someone got a raise and they needed it, should have been 2 months before, something sort of retroactive.
Yeah. let me
Yeah,
double
check with Lisa on how that would work, but I mean, at this point, if we changed anything, well, we can't change anything for 2 months, because we're bringing it up now, it has to come for a reading, correct?
Yep.
And then we pass it, so it'd be April, and then this winter would be over.
Right.
We've already had one day, chances are we're gonna have a few more storms, potentially ones that you say we don't want to have an office open.
Wallace Gossett, Stanhead Road. Could you maybe give them time? Give them vacation time or sick time? For the days that they have to use before this is
We
put
can find a
into
way to
place?
float it with,
Yeah,
Um,
give them comp time, that's the term I was looking for.
and I can double check with Lisa to make sure that we're crossing all our Ts in the process, but
Yeah, I
if
would
the
like
sentiment's
that.
there, I
Oh.
appreciate that, because that's not making it obvious.
You want some comment?
No. I was just asking a question.
So do we have to make a motion for you to do that, or that's just something that?
I can have it drafted and pull it together.
Thank you.
I'll send you an update too when I double
Okay,
check.
now, this is the one that Mrs. Emery was very concerned about. And I have no information for you right now, but I'll find out what I can and I'll get back to you.
The only reason Penny Emery, 46 Clifford Street, again, Falls, 04256. The only reason I asked, because I was at the November meeting, and I was the understanding that he was gonna do the calling, and I didn't come December, and so I didn't know it had been done. Sorry, I would've brought it up in December, I didn't come. Or January, maybe it was January I didn't come, so I didn't know anything. I thought it was probably all taken care of and everything was smooth and nice down here, but I guess it ain't.
Lynn Berry, 31 Beckham Street. I'm just curious, who is this person? Remind me again, please. Maybe we knew once, but I've forgotten because it's been so long. Who
That's
is
what, that's
the
going.
person that's supposed to be doing the investigation about code enforcement? And did he say about how long it was going to take him to do this? Or?
Robert Overton is the name for code enforcement issues, and I have that's Blue Lane's number. Yeah, oh yeah, here's the number. I have a number for him, but I don't have any other information that I
Well,
can
who
give.
hired?
Yeah.
He may not have been hired, but who?
Well, so his name is Robert Overton. Julie said that he has the information. When did you send that?
Probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, I emailed everything to him before this was prior to Kathy leaving. She asked me to email it to him.
How many weeks ago?
2 or 3 weeks.
But
And he
he-
said that he would look into it, because there was quite a bit, there was quite a bit of stuff that I sent him.
And he is on a volunteer basis.
Oh.
He's doing it for free, so like we didn't hire him. So, and we've had some changes. So if Keith is going to take this over, then Keith can address it and we can have more information for you next time. We understand that it's a very important issue and it needs to be addressed.
Keith? Just finding someone has been difficult. There was 3 or 4 people, and 2 of them bowed out, and we went with this guy.
Okay, thank you.
Rena, you and Penny, if you give me your phone numbers after the meeting, I will, if I can find anything from him, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
So I understand Zach can't work with him directly with his investigator. Is that correct?
In the investigation, yeah, well, he can work with him. Or, I mean, he can talk to him, but that's not the person he needs to go see for information. He needs to go to Fred to get what information he wants from, in order to do what he,
Okay.
do his thing.
This thing has been fairly cloudy since it started. Do you understand? Nothing, it's been running an investigation, and I thought Kathy Feifel would be the person in charge. She's gonna be the one person with this CEO from Augusta. I guess he's the code enforcement administrator in Augusta. So Kathy's gone, but at the same time that happened, Zach said he couldn't be really directly involved with contacting him or giving him any information because of other issues. I just want to get a clarification. Is it going to be Julie who's going to be directly talking to this or communicating with the individual?
Well, Kathy has given me all this information, so I'm assuming that I'm gonna be.
Okay, you did it, okay. That's why I didn't want to get this, you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
That, there's never been any
And
cut and dry issue here.
I only emailed because she couldn't have access to scan things to him.
Okay.
That was the
So
only
you were just,
reason why.
as a personnel doing the job? of
Yeah, I
emailing.
was just sending it, I wasn't involved in
You weren't
it.
communicating with them or
No.
anything?
Okay, listen, the sidebars have got to stop. You're supposed to be talking to me.
Yeah,
If
well-
you have a question, I will ask her and we'll.
Well, that's fine, but it's, I want to get it.
I understand.
It's got cloudy, now it's getting a little bit clarified.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time, but this is very important, I think.
Yes, we,
And we're also going to
I
have
don't
the
know
same
about,
questions
I'm
again.
sure these people out here want to get it straightened out, and I'm right with them.
Okay,
Um,
I just want to know how it's going to work, that's all.
Now, the municipal complex plan, now, is this something we want to bring up now? Oh, I need a motion.
So it's really, I'd love to start with a discussion because this is just, after our last meeting, a proposal for what a committee would look like. If you have the written ones in front of you, they were in the packets that we disseminated. So really it's to take a longer view approach on really studying the needs of what we have and then developing a more complex plan of what it is a municipal complex will have to include based on the needs of us, not what we have available, what buildings are available, et cetera. So the first intention is to establish an ad hoc advisory committee to, number one, assess the current use of the facilities by the following municipal departments: administration, clerk's office, code enforcement office, library, water department, public works, police department, and fire department. Number two, to develop short and long range plans focused on the facilities needs and updates for these departments. And three, make recommendations to the town council on the best course of action. I'm going to jump down below. This would be an advisory committee only, focused on making recommendations to the council. It would be chaired by the council liaison and staffed by the town manager. And this committee would convene for an initial 2-year term beginning, these are all up for discussion, in August, and then meet on the fourth Monday of every month at 4 p.m. And ideas to broaden the committee base and the input would be a council member, a member from the Mechanic Health Development Commission, planning board member, budget committee member, recreation committee member, library trustee, historical society member, and then a couple of community members at large would give us a decent sized group. And what I envision is something that's going to be a little bit more flexible and fluid, where we can get a group. It would roughly represent all of the committees and organizations that would really have a vested interest in what goes on at our municipal complex. And give them more of a seat at the table, something that we could actually go out, do some site visits, see public works, see what it is we have for space, what their utilization currently looks like, and have more, I want to say, kind of more of a study on what our needs are and figure out, what I'd love to see at the end of it is by department, what do we feel that the departments really need to operate, square footage wise for office space, X number of bays, for garage bays and equipment that we have to have, and actually take an assessment and a needs-based approach to developing a long-range plan if we're gonna take a more complete approach to this. So I'd love to, it's really just the way it's been presented, and it's up for debate, modification, anything else.
Walk 9 Riverside Drive. So I'm assuming that this is gonna be a full and complete study of what we actually need, what we can actually fit in, and eventually, after 1 or 2 years, maybe 3 years, of how we can handle it financially, is that right?
As an assessment approach, I think, yes, especially from the committee and us getting together as a community to figure out what it is we really need to operate. And then when it comes to looking at a building, and that's where I think it would all obviously be filtered back through the council. But I mean, floor designs, planning and layout would all be something that would most likely be better suited to go out to an engineer or a professional to take the list of needs that we've had, that we agree on, these are our needs. This is our real estate, or this is the opportunity, for other real estate in town.
You mean an actual common sense plan?
That's what I'm shooting for, Mel.
Wow.
I have a couple questions kind of on kind of when to get started, as well as potentially, I mean, there's 2 kind of community members at large, and what avenue or opportunities the council would like to seek to kind of get more of a broad base, whether people would apply directly to the council to be on that or not, would probably make the most sense.
Okay, so what is it you would like from us?
Is there any input you have on the kind of the mission of the committee? It is an advisory only committee, so they've got no decision-making power. Really, it's to gather information and
So
report.
it seems as though you've got a pretty good mix. If all of these people, all of these committees have somebody that will step up.
I've spoken to some of them, specifically Mr. Baird from the Development Commission as well. The Mechanic Falls Development Commission is kind of set aside from the town itself, now that we have it staffed as a separate entity. But they do have a specific mission and focus to work on community development, not just a loan fund like they run, but a mission to develop either grants or anything that improves quality of life in town. And I think engaging them and their staffing agency is AVCOG, which is again, the planning agency that we have access as a member of AVCOG to utilize some of their services, that we could use them as a main entry into them as well. The other, I definitely hope that some of the other committees and boards, their members have the ability to meet and to volunteer and become a part of the process. But keeping everybody engaged is what we're going to keep doing.
So this would be a confidential group. They would be talking about things, and they would bring it forward at council meetings to update us each time?
Not necessarily confidential, but yeah, it would be as an advisory committee, we don't, we're not required to keep minutes or to run as a formal committee. But it's gathering information and then reporting it back out here.
Okay.
And that will allow us, I think that'll be a little bit more flexible to actually go and start, touring, working directly with the staff and seeing, what the staff's plans are for the departments, what the growth plans look like, and really what either our existing shortcomings are facilities-wise, or what some of their strategies are for growth.
Go ahead.
Are there anybody local who have all of these together that we know of?
What do you mean?
Have all of these, like we have they have public works in the water department and the fire and police, do we know any around it, within a?
Oxford would be probably the closest one, that they're not all together obviously, but they're working on, actually, I don't know if they're still doing it now. They were entertaining ideas on moving their town office from where they are in an old school building similar to ours next to their safety complex right on 26.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and this committee would be one to say, okay, maybe the library doesn't come with us, or, and I'm just saying, I'm not, or that the, whatever. You might say Public Works or something, maybe they don't fit in it. This committee will decide that. We'll bring forward like, okay, we think we could have a sort of complex that would incorporate all of these except maybe one or something.
I think it would be a little less structured, without being kind of exclusionary and kind of making the decision, but kind of doing a needs assessment of every committee or every department and saying, Public Works needs, 5 bays and 750 square feet of office space, in order to store everything and to operate.
Right, like the water department has their own space.
Right.
So possibly that works, but it would be cheaper, it would be less expensive, and it would be better to be in a more complex. So this is just assessing, getting needs assessment. What do we need? What would it look like?
I'd much rather have it be a needs assessment because there's no decision making in that process, or there's much less. It would be essentially, I think, the perfect group to look at, other ideas to present, and again, bring the information back to the council and say, other towns have done X, or they've developed a municipal complex that looks like this. And also kind of come up with some of those other ideas that may be, right, like reassessing the water department opportunity. What it would result in would be, I think, a package of information that would come to the council, and the council would decide on kind of who would go where or whatnot, and who we may engage to design a complex or to rehab an existing space we have.
Okay, so then we would have it, we would have the information, and we would say, oh, this is great. Then would it be a referendum question? Once.
Yeah, and then especially anything having to do with the financing side of it is gonna have to be a bonding referendum.
This is just gonna be an informal, something to bring to Milt Walker for his approval, our town's approval, right?
Yeah, this is just
I'll vote on it too.
And, eventually, this is just gonna be from us and the people, what we need and what we think we need for the future.
This is like starting at the root cause of the issue.
Bingo.
And that's what I really wanna do, is make sure that we can get more community members engaged, have the library and the historical society be able to leverage, because I think they should be included within a municipal complex, but also have a kind of seat at the table to talk about what space requirements or what they can contribute to the overall development of the plaza.
Yes.
So tonight, we need a motion to approve this committee, and that would just be for you to be starting it, you to be.
Yep. If you
Because
wanna
you've
do
been
that, I
talking to
can-
these people, but now you can say we're gonna form the committee, and we need A, B, and C.
We can start internally as staff. I've been working with them on some of this already, but we can start pulling together more formalized information of what's our existing footprint, and where do we see our deficiencies, that they can sit down kind of one-on-one with each department and just hear it from the horse's mouth when it comes to, what's it actually like operating out of our garages, where are our shortcomings? And having a council member to lead it, because again, I don't want it to be a staff-run committee. I'll definitely be there staffing it, but I don't want to run the discussion, or I want the council or community to run it. So having a council liaison would definitely help us move forward.
Anything else?
I make a motion that we approve the municipal complex plan.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Unanimous.
Do you have any idea on who may be the council liaison before I start hitting up all the other committees for their liaisons?
I'm all talking about it.
Well, I'm willing to do it. I'm only here until June unless I get voted back in, so it could possibly change, but I'm willing to be this is something that's important to know.
Will you approve that, or we just? I make a motion to accept Tasha down for liaison for this municipal complex study that we're having.
I second that. Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous.
Moving forward, do you want me to start advertising the 2 community members at large to use the regular committee appointment approval process? Okay. And we'll start advertising that, and when we get applications, because I hope we will get applications, we'll just forward them to the council.
Okay, now, foreclosure list. Do we have anything on it?
So there are currently 2 payment arrangements by 2 people that have been making their payments on time. And there is property on Maury Avenue that is owned by a LLC that is apparently behind on their mortgage, and they're in the process of selling it to another bank. So the mortgage company reached out to us and said that we should have a payment on the back taxes by the middle of February to clean up that foreclosure. So other than that, everything else, everybody was paid up.
Well, excellent.
Annual report, education, how are we gonna handle this?
So do you, what's our time frame for that? Do we have time to receive community input on dedications?
I can't remember what it said. I think it has to be done, because it has to go in the annual report, so it has to be done March probably.
Oh, so we got a month?
I would say you would not want to vote it no later than
Next meeting?
next meeting.
Can we put it out to them?
I believe, is that, we can ask the
Absolutely.
public for,
Yep.
does anyone, present tonight have, anyone that they would, want to nominate to be on the, annual report, like Gary was last year? I think Gary Green too.
We can leave it open too, and I can advertise for nominations for these. If we wanna pick it up, process nominations, I can package any nominations we receive and present them to the council.
They could email them to us?
Do you want me to put in the article that you would like to have people come forth with names from the citizens, from the residents?
Yes.
And drop it off at the town hall or email it to the town office.
One way we'll compile it for, I just need it 5 days before the next council meeting. Spirit of America Awards nomination would be something similar.
Yes.
Spirit of America is more based on a volunteerism, people who've put in a lot of hours of volunteerism within the community. We can do a similar nomination process. This person would also be receiving in the fall, there's an award ceremony put on by the county for any towns as well as nominees before by any of the towns. So we can run that same process for potential nominees for that person.
Did everybody hear that, understand what it was? We have Spirit of America nomination, and it's, no, maybe Zach can you better explain what?
Spirit of America?
Yeah.
Mr. Bruce Flaherty has been putting it on and kind of got it started within the state. It's much more focused on volunteerism. It really, they set the guidelines to us as a community based on what criteria we want to use to nominate people from within our own community who've exemplarized a volunteerism-focused community building spirit. And they've provided this kind of award in recognition, and they get certificates signed by the county commissioners recognizing them and the town for promoting volunteerism within the community.
Planning board agenda and minutes? What is this one?
This was your request?
Sure.
I asked to have this put on the agenda because we had last month we decided to put the video camera in.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to have the minutes, the agenda and minutes put online like ours are, so that people know they have an agenda 5 days before, and they also have the minutes. So is that you, Julie? You do the?
I only do the recording, is in charge of the agenda.
Okay.
For
And
post-
I just do the minutes.
For posting minutes, I'll create another page similar to the council page off the planning board page, which we can list them, because we do have all of them digitized already.
Oh, okay.
But be able to upload the agendas and minutes.
Okay. So we need do we need to have a motion for that, or
Yeah.
is that just?
Let's do that, and you wanna make
Okay.
sure that, do you wanna set a minimum, cause it's a little gray area window that we wanna have the agendas out for that, and I can,
Well, when is the agenda usually out for it?
It should be the same amount, at least 5 days before the meeting.
Yeah, uniformity.
it'd be nice to do, we can run a similar 5 days.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna put a time limit on it, there isn't one already,
No,
and we're going to put one.
There isn't anything for
Okay.
the planning board, I don't know.
Are we going to purchase them a camera?
No, these are things-
Oh, we can use that one?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Is this something that we can get the planning board chair involved with, so he knows what's going on? 'Cause I don't even know if he knows any of this is going on. Is he aware of any of this?
I can communicate it to them, yeah.
Okay, 'cause I'm just unaware how much the chair knows about any of this.
Are you concerned about that?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you want to table this?
I don't know. I mean, before we proceed so far as we start getting some conflict with the planning board, I just think the planning board chair needs to be aware of this and the rest of the planning board committee. That's all. They need to be aware of the decisions we're making for them. Because right now they're, as far as I know, they're unaware. I just think that would be proper protocol.
I think it would be a good idea to table this one for next meeting.
Okay, and,
Okay.
uh,
I
and
would
invite,
entertain a motion for that.
and invite the chair? Okay, good. Well, I need a motion to table that?
Yes.
I make a motion to table this until next month, and we can get the planning board chair and the rest of the planning board committee involved in this.
I second that.
Yes.
Paul of Stock 87 Stantec Road, unlike the council that meets every month faithfully, normally the planning board doesn't meet necessarily every month. They only meet when there are zoning issues to deal with or applications that need us to review and to approve or disapprove, so that you're aware of that. So unlike you guys who have a set meeting the first of every month, that's not necessarily true at this point, unless the council chooses to tell them you will meet once a month whether or not, the way our schedule works.
Is this something that you could take and just advise Lou on?
Yep, I can reach out to Mr. Goulet and invite him to the
And
next
give him
meeting.
all the
Absolutely.
information that's needed before we meet again next month?
Yeah, let him talk a little.
Yes.
So when do you have meetings then? Are they set for like the first Tuesday of the month? If
It's
there's an
supposed
issue?
to be the third Tuesday of the month unless it's a holiday. And then we vote what day to move it to. And we don't set the meetings, the codes office does. And it's based on applications he gets in that need the planning board to go through and give conditional use, special use type permits for, or if there's ordinance issues that need to be addressed. We have meetings/workshops because under FOAA, we're not allowed to vote at a workshop. So like with the marijuana thing in November, we had a workshop, we closed the workshop, and then we went into our meeting so that we could vote on the proposed marijuana ordinance to be forwarded to the council for decision.
Is this something, again, Zach, that if we go ahead and motion and approve this, that you can get the information to the chair of the planning board in ample amount of time to where they could have a meeting to discuss some of this, so they'd all be on the same page when they come here next month, so we can make a decision
I
on this?
believe so, yes, you'll meet before we meet again. And this would give them the, or if there's nothing pending, they can still
Well,
schedule the regular meeting.
Yeah, you'd have to set a workshop.
I I can request that the code officer schedule a meeting.
Thank you.
Excuse me, the next meeting is scheduled for the 17th. That is a holiday. You remind them of that, they'll know.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
We're walking down Riverside Drive again. I think that what you're going about is kind of reversed. Usually the planning board looks at something and then they bring it to the town council. It doesn't go from the town council to the planning board to tell them
Yeah,
what
well,
they should be
this is
doing.
a little bit different. What we have at least once taped their meeting. So what we're gonna do now is get everybody on the same page. And then we're gonna vote on whether we do that or not. Right now, all we're doing is tabling this issue until next month.
I think that's a good idea.
So,
Meet with them, see if they really want it videoed, and they probably
Okay.
will, and then go from there.
At least they should be informed.
No.
Wait, didn't we vote to do it last month?
We
This,
already voted.
what this is to get the meeting, the agenda and the minutes online. This is not,
also.
yeah, it's just that,
also
because
to
those
get
are all public
everybody on-
knowledge.
Yes.
And it-
We didn't ask them if they wanted it or anything, although I don't know if we have to, but at least now we're gonna get them all here and have it all on, everybody on the same page. So now, we'll move to the issue.
I'll take a vote, right?
All those in favor of tabling the planning board agenda minutes issue until next month? Unanimous. Election, okay, election clerks, who do we have?
We need to get the council to approve the election clerks for the upcoming election, and if you want to let them know the names, we've been working on recompiling our election clerks.
Yes, so, we have Nancy Peterson's for our warden, Michelle Emery, Jackie Preston, Allison Emery, and Brenda Coleman as a backup for the March 3rd election. So,
Oh, this is- okay.
this is for the presidential primaries.
Yes, okay. A motion?
I make a motion to vote all those names in for election clerk.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
I abstain.
Okay. Your reason?
Family members.
Okay. You got the count, Julie? And now the South Main Street Bridge.
DOT, it's a public notice to go out to everyone that they are working. DOT is going to be resurfacing the South Main Street Bridge. And they have a rough window that they are not specifying yet, but it'll be a 2-week duration, and they're going to do their best to do it between June 5th and August 22nd, and hopefully not interfere with any busing schedules that we have going on.
That's just for information.
Just for
So
information.
everyone can expect delays. Okay, 9.2, Millhouse Pub Special Amusement. Motion?
No, this is my point.
Chief, is this the one you wanted to do before all together? No.
If we could do them individually just for the 4,
Yep.
and then we'll.
Okay, I stick, it's there, it's the Millhouse Pub liquor license.
Yep.
I make a motion to approve the Mill House Pub liquor license.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Approved, unanimous. Now I can do 9.2. Millhouse Special Amusement.
Make a motion that we accept 19 Millhouse Pub Special Amusement.
the motion?
Any discussion? All in favor?
On the backside.
Unanimous. Silver Spur Amusement.
Make a motion that we accept 9-3 Silver Spur Special Amusement. Motion to approve.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Exceptional liquor license renewal.
I make a motion to accept the exceptional liquor license renewal.
I second it.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, so,
Yes, sign and, did you want to have that?
Oh,
what?
You
Oh.
want to add this? and then
I was trying to remember what we were.
Consider
I
it.
told you to write it down.
Oh,
I
Vice Chair.
only wrote one, and that was for something else. Need a motion to, what's the word?
We want to suspend Robert's
Suspend.
rules to add an agenda item.
Suspend Robert's rules to add something to the agenda.
I second it.
I didn't make a motion.
Oh.
I suppose if I can, I'll make that a motion. Any discussion? What this is about is our, I don't know if he has any copies out yet, but it's the rules for the council order,
We have our rules of procedure, which is kind of like the bylaws for the way that this council operates. After working with our workshop with Don Garish
No,
last
we're
month.
just reading it tonight, so get it
Yeah.
to the public.
There are some on the back table, but the council met in workshop before this meeting today and worked on kind of updating and correcting some things within our own procedure to fit our bylaws to the way that the council wants to operate. So there are draft changes. There'll be some on the table there. We'll have them on the website. There'll be a public hearing next meeting before they can vote on making any changes to their bylaws. It's something that, working with Don Garish and other municipal kind of counselors, with the ability for a council every year, when you get a new council, new people elected to the board, they recommend sitting down, reviewing your own bylaws, the way that you operate when you do your annual meeting, and just kind of reassess do your bylaws still work. And there've been some kind of corrective issues and errors. The council has previously voted to change the time that they meet from 7 o'clock to 6:30 PM at night, but the council, we now need to update the bylaws to represent that, as well as our, it was a little outdated when it came to what day we met on and when our meeting agenda's out. So now, this version that we'll be posting kind of represents what the charter spells out for days in advance that we have to post agendas and the ways that we operate.
And you just said you'll be posting this
Yep.
on our website, the changes.
Yep.
Well, that's all we have to do for tonight. We
Just,
don't have to read
just to
them.
receive it, we don't have
Oh,
to read the
receive
whole
it.
thing,
Okay,
but
perfect.
we will put it out for public consumption.
So, all those, no. Is there any discussion on this? All in favor? I did, he seconded. So we added that to the agenda, and
We'll do chair and vice chair. Because of the changes to the bylaw.
oh,
We'll do the vice chair, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
We can do both.
yeah.
So this is from the rules, we can add a new election of officers.
So I have to suspend the rules.
To add a new agenda item.
I'd like to suspend the rules to add a new agenda item. I would like to nominate Tasha Downing as second in command, or chair, vice chair, second in command. And I nominate Keith to be chair. Do we have to do
I'm
two
gonna do that
separate?
as one, you can do them as a slate if you would like.
So, you made a motion.
I made a motion.
I second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Yeah.
We have to do them individually, don't we?
Because they can't vote for them,
That's
they
right.
can't vote for
Okay,
them.
can we start all over? I apologize. I would like to make a motion that we nominate Tarsha Downing for vice chair.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Three.
Stay.
I would like to make a motion that we make Keith Bennett chair.
I second that motion.
Any, just a second, any discussion? All in favor?
For the end of regular business tonight, we do have one executive session we will be going into to consider labor negotiations. So we would appreciate a motion for that under section.
I make a motion to go into executive session for labor negotiations under Title I, MRS Section 4056E.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. This is done.
I make a motion to adjourn.
At 7,
No, 8.
oh, yeah. I'm almost as tired as the chief, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah. My glasses.
I never used them.
Thank you.
So we have a motion to adjourn at 8.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Done.
Good job, guys.
Phew.